Alrighty, so this is the Overcoming Imposter Syndrome event for Sweetie. Let's see if it works. Okay, so what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome, it's not just a fancy term for low self-esteem if you're not really aware of the term. Essentially, being an imposter, feeling like you're an imposter, you suffer from chronic self-doubt and a sense of intellectual fraudulence that overrides any of your feelings of success or external proof of your confidence, however successful you are in your field. So this happens to highly achieving, highly successful people. And it doesn't equate to low self-esteem or just a lack of self-confidence. It's a full thing. And people have linked it with perfectionism, especially in women and among academics, which is why it's an important problem that we are addressing within SWE. So there's two ways that imposter syndrome can impact your career. It's through procrastination, where you feel like you're not able to do things, or you feel like you're not good enough to do this project, or you won't get it right, so you push it off. And the other way that can show up in your work is by doing perfectionism, by spending a really long time working on your projects and making sure they're perfect, and just keep going over and it being freaked out about the product that you're creating because you think that it'll make people feel like you're an idiot or just feel like you aren't qualified to be talking about this at all. There's a really neat scale that you can do, which I'll post the link in the chat as well if you can't scan a form. So this is an anonymous scale. It's the Cleary Imposter Syndrome scale. So essentially what you're going to do is rate your response. Here's the form. And after submitting your response, you're going to hit view score, and you'll see your score. It's a number out of 300, but you only need the numerator, the out of 300, which is the amount of points there are. Yeah, I'm going to pause this share and, or pause the recording. All right, so we're going to move on to what these scores mean. So this is the CLANS IP scale results. If you scored less than 40 in your numerator, that means you have few imposter characteristics. If you scored from 41 to 60, you have moderate imposter experiences. And 61 to 80, frequent imposter feelings. And if you have scored a higher than 80, that means you have very intense imposter syndrome experiences. So if you experience imposter syndrome, you're not alone. According to some reviews, either 9% to 82% of people in surveys experience imposter syndrome. That number varies depending on who's in the survey. And even at the lower end of the scale, it's a lot of people that feel negative about their self-worth. And the good news is that you can work on changing those feelings and work on kind of overcoming them, which is the point of this panel, or not panel, but so the big steps to overcoming imposter syndrome are first to acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge, yes, I do feel like I am not successful. Two, talk to others, talk to people, your friends, your family, your advisors, your mentors. Just talk to them about how you're feeling, therapist as well. Three, develop a response plan. So we're going to be discussing a bit like that, is what to do when you recognize that you're having these thoughts that are making you feel bad. And then four is to understand your strengths and weaknesses. And if you can, 5, overcome your perfectionism. That's going to vary a lot. And 6, own your success. So we're going to do some quick exercises real quick. So the first one is an exercise on replacing negative self-talk in your brain. So what we're going to be doing is seeing these examples of self-talk that people have been using, that people frequently use, and replace them with a positive equivalent. So examples of this are, I can't do this, I'm going to fail. That's the self-talk that you feel. And then you can change that and counter that with, I've done this before and I have succeeded in the past. Or this is out of control, I can't handle it. And you can change that and counter it with, I can't control events, but I can control my reaction to them. So if anyone wants to participate, the next negative phrase that we're going to counter is, I'll never get anything done. Does anyone have a positive self-talk that would counter that?
Yes, look how many things I've gotten done up until this point in my life. I can do one more, you know.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great one. And the next would be I shouldn't be here. I'm not as good as them. So feeling like inferior to others. Anyone have a uh, counter to that? It's positive.
I don't know if it's positive, but the one that got me through like high school was you don't have anything to prove to anyone but yourself.
Yeah, that's a great one. That is positive because it's kind of controlling your reaction to focus only on yourself, which is who you should be making happy. And the last one we're going to be doing is for this section is I'm a fake. I will never succeed. Is there a positive version that you can counter this with?
I would just say like everyone starts somewhere, so it's not like anyone is born successful.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, everyone
And
does.
success is not a value of your worth. That's something I always have to remind myself, that failing is just as important as succeeding
Oh, yeah,
because you
100%.
learn from it.
Yeah. So the next exercise we're going to do real quick is an exercise for adopting a growth mindset. So a growth mindset means that you don't only cope better, but you actively look for opportunities for learning and growth. So this is the opposite of a fixed mindset, which results in not reaching potential because you are limiting yourself just in your thoughts, versus a growth mindset, which leads to greater achievement and belief in your own abilities. So the first column is the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is on the right column. So a fixed mindset thinking would be avoiding challenges because you don't want to fail. And a growth mindset thinking would be to embrace the challenge and it's okay if you fail because you've learned. So anyone, again, we're just gonna call out if you have any ideas of ways to counter these fixed mindset thinkings, a equivalent of a growth mindset thinking. So the fixed mindset would be being defensive and giving up easily. All right, what can you change that to be positively? It's a little worded poorly, I will say that. um, I think that personally, I would say to kind of lower my guard and again, like embrace the challenges. This is giving up is kind of avoiding challenges in the same way. The next one is effort is worthless and fruitless because I'm not gonna succeed. That's the fixed mindset thinking is you just feel like, yeah, I'm not gonna succeed. And that's what your mindset is. Oh yeah, I didn't see one. Rhiannon sent that, but yeah, accepting criticism and understanding that it will help you grow is 100% yes. So that would definitely feed into the ignoring negative feedback, fixed mindsets. Don't ignore it, accept it, and use that to help you.
Something too for the same one about the feedback is I think it's beneficial to start seeking out feedback rather than just receiving it unsolicited, because then you feel more in control as well. That it's
Yeah.
not like you're just getting, I don't want to say attacked, but sometimes it can feel that way. But if you go out of your way and say, hey, can you help me and give me your opinions on this? It kind of feels a little better that way.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it also allows you to see more of the people that are not having issues with you that would confront you with negative feedback. Um, and the last fixed mindset would be being threatened by other people's successes, by seeing your other colleagues, your other students, and feeling threatened by their success.
I would say that it comes down to like just not comparing yourself to others, because like I think it would come down to like support your coworkers and be like, I'm like proud of how successful they are, but then also look at like what you're doing and say like I'm proud of like my successes, even though like they may be different, like still recognizing like your own successes and not feel threatened by others' successes, and kind
And
of
to
use
play off that, I think that's awesome. I think it would also be cool to, if there's someone that's in a position that you're jealous of, go talk to them and say, hey, how did you
Yeah,
accomplish this? And how would I be able to follow in this path to also accomplish something similarly?
Yeah, that's great. Definitely, those are great things that allow you to feel willing to grow. Also, just we remember how we failed more than how we succeed. And so to help you remember in your times where you're feeling like I can't do this, I haven't done anything good ever in my life, to just keep track of your wins and successes, like even as little things, just review them regularly. Or if you're feeling down about yourself, remember that you have a list of everything you've done. And so this is a template from a psychology website where it kind of just describes, you just answer, what was the situation? What did I do? What challenges did I face? What did I achieve? And how did I feel during this time? And so I've definitely been doing that a bit with my resume. I definitely should be doing this more with my just like everyday life. Like, oh, I got a good grade on this test that I thought I would do bad on. And it seriously has helped me in the days that I feel like I can't do anything right. It's just saying, look at how far, look at everything, even the little things that you have done that has got you here, has you gotten you successful in the past. So yeah, this slide will be posted later. This is a link to the template that I imported here. So if you're struggling, reach out to people. ASU has, now they actually have a 24/7 counseling hotline, which is really great. I think that's new. I'll definitely add that to the resources because I didn't know that when I was making this. ASU counseling is always there for you. And also, if you want support in your life from other SWESTers, I know that we have our SWES Wellness Hour, which is the next one is on April 20th from 12 to 1. Allie runs these meetings, and you can essentially just go, and if you need feedback or just a person to talk to, just support, you can go to these meetings if you're not comfortable going to a therapist or anything yet, or counseling. Okay, Cassidy said, I feel like I always have to remind myself that I'm here for a reason, like we all get accepted into the same school, internships, etc. I assume that's for the comparing yourself to others thing. I totally agree with that. Yeah, that's 100% great. So these are resources that you can have if you are feeling completely helpless or just want someone to talk to about your feelings. Because it's not uncommon for people to feel like they're an imposter or not good at what they do, or that everything has been down to luck and that they've only gotten to where they were because they were lucky, which is not true. There's always skill involved. So next, the last thing we're going to do before our open discussion is I'm going to introduce Shivani Sakri. She's a first-year PhD student in engineering, education systems, and design. And right now she's actually working on a little research report on imposter syndrome in graduate students. So do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little about your work?
Sure. That was a great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
So like Morgan said, I'm a first-year PhD student in engineering, education system design. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a master's in aerospace engineering. And while I was in aerospace engineering, that's when I learned about imposter syndrome, because I went to counseling. I used to feel like I did not belong there. And honestly, I just got admitted into the school because I was lucky, or like it was a mistake. And I kept comparing myself, and it got to the point where I dealt with like a lot of anxiety and depression. So I went out to counseling, and that's when I learned about imposter syndrome. And that was something that's always been on my mind. So when I came here and I had the chance to like pick a project that I wanted to work on, I wanted to study imposter syndrome in like graduate engineering students. I honestly wanted to scope the project a little bit more, but like since I had very limited time and like to like build the whole project for the semester, I just stuck to like engineering graduate students. But I do plan on like expanding my work as I go ahead in my PhD. So what we did was I spoke with my my professor, and we decided we're gonna have like a focus group. I'm not sure if you guys know what focus groups are, but like it's just basically like a group of people coming together and you have a conversation about things. I asked them like a few guiding questions. And basically, it was like a conversation where people spoke about their experiences with imposter syndrome in graduate school. And many of the themes that Morgan did speak about came out in that. And since it's such a safe space and like everyone is sharing, I felt like a lot of the girls were like, they were happy to share it. And when I asked them like, how come like you feel comfortable sharing, I know many of them said that it's just so competitive out there that they feel vulnerable to share it in a space which is outside like counseling or even outside the peer group, just for like a fear of judgment. And while I'm still through with data analysis, I did see like a few themes emerge. Like it's very, very prevalent in like women, especially just because we've always been pitched to like compete almost. Like we've always had to prove ourselves in whatever field we may be. Let it be STEM, outside of STEM, we always feel like we have to make a mark. And like there were women who said that they were like very good at coding, but like the compliments they received kind of increased imposter syndrome. So I had one participant saying like, oh, I was very good at coding, I got an internship. And when I was speaking to like my male colleague, he spoke about, oh, you're very good at coding, like you're very good at coding, especially for a girl. So like just stuff like these kind of increase that self-doubt. And when I was asking what kind of support mechanisms, and I had another question which I was like, so what kind of support do you seek? So it was mainly them going out to their female peers and like discussing such instances. Often I saw that they were overworking themselves, even like, so she was telling me that I had like 40 hours of work on paper, but like I was doing 60 hours just to prove that I'm there. So just like these experiences are very, very real. And the research project I'm trying to do is trying to highlight how imposter syndrome often like leads to significant mental health concern for women, and like how much stress they're almost putting themselves in. And this is like a serious topic that needs to be discussed even at a very, very early age, starting from school, because that's when you realize how competitive and how the world is even. So I think I'm gonna stop there, and I'm happy to take questions, or like I'm happy to talk more if you're interested.
Thank you so much for sharing about your work. Does anyone have any questions for her real quick? Awesome. Okay. So what we're going to be doing now is just an open discussion about kind of almost like a focus group, but more casual. So I'm going to stop recording, and then we are going to just have a discussion if people are available and willing.